Morning. This morning I'm going to bring devotions for St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church. Have you ever thought about your relationship with Jesus? What it's like and what it's supposed to be like? Jesus spoke about that quite a bit, and I'd like to take a passage from Matthew and then discuss it just a little bit so we can think about it. This is from the chapter 18 of Matthew, verses 1 through 5. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child, whom he put among them, and he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever welcomes one such as this child in my name welcomes me." Jesus says we have to be like children. So it seems to me maybe we should think about what that means, what children are like. My oldest grandson is 4, so I'm going to take little children because I've done more observing of them more recently than older children. When a child's first born, they're dependent. They depend on their parents, particularly their mother, for everything. As they grow, they continue to be dependent, though they soon want to be dependent upon themselves, but they continue to be trusting. And so the two themes that I'd like to think about are childlike trust and childlike dependence. When a child's first born, dependence is the way it is. It can do nothing for itself. It eats, it sleeps, and it poops, as they say. And the parents do everything else for it. And that lasts for a little while. Now, I don't know that the child actually thinks about it, but there must be some sense that this is okay because the child soon grows attached to the parents, and again, particularly the mother, and learns to trust that that person is going to take care of them. Those people are going to take care of them. Now, I mentioned my 4-year-old grandson. He can do a lot of things for himself now and often prefers to do that than to have his parents do things for him. So he's not nearly as dependent as he was when he was young. But he's still dependent in so many ways. And he understands that, though he's still trying to expand what he can do for himself. He still has the sense that his parents want to take care of him. He trusts them. He has the sense that he's safe with them. I think those are the things that Jesus was talking about when he used a child as an example. We need to trust. We need to trust Jesus. And we need to be dependent on him. And I don't know about you, but the trust seems okay. I have a pretty good sense of what I think Jesus will do for me. But the dependence is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Because I want to do for me. I want to depend on me. And it's like an advanced stage of my grandson. Except that I've had all these years to figure out what I can do and what I can't do. Now, as I've grown older, I've also learned that I can't do a lot of things and I do depend on a lot of other people. But I don't think that's what Jesus is after. He's after us depending on him, relying on him, expecting him to do things that we can't do for ourselves. And as I think about that, that's a hard thing for me. Do I trust him? Do I believe in him? Do I think that when we say Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again, that that's all true? Yes, I do. And I hope you do too. But day to day, minute to minute, do I depend on him as if my life depended on that thought? And the sad answer is not all the time. And yet, that's what Jesus calls us for in this passage. Be like children. Be dependent on him, not on ourselves. Now, everyone has to answer that for themselves. I can't do that for you. Because I think it's different for each of us what depend means. I believe absolutely that God gave us brains. He wants us to think. He wants us to learn. He wants us to know him. He wants us to learn things about this world so we can take care of it. He wants us to learn things about other people so we can take care of each other. But he particularly wants us to know him so that we know how perfect he is and how dependent we are on him because we are not. And as I said, sometimes that's very difficult for me because I want to depend on me. Now, my mental state makes it easy to say that. I understand that. I believe that, but I don't act that out all the time. Way too often, I do things before I think about how is this going to affect my relationship. And I think that's the part that Jesus is getting at. Go back to being a very little child and depend upon Jesus for everything. Without question, without exception. Fight your own nature if you're like me. And so I pray that you give this some thought and how you find yourself, and pray that Jesus will give you the insight, give you the strength, give you the understanding that we are totally dependent upon him for our lives, and particularly for our everlasting lives. And that is the greatest gift we've ever been given. And he wants us to have it. So we need to depend on him. That's it for today. Thank you very much.